Hi, divine souls, how are you? I thought I'd pop on a few minutes earlier so people have got a little bit of time to pop on. So when you're on, you can see me. Hopefully this is on my personal profile now. Also, hello to the people on YouTube and also watching on the replay. I recently updated my YouTube account, so I'm starting to put videos on there, which is very, very exciting. So I am going to be your cosmic guide today, so let me know if you can see me and hear me, and also if you could just put something in the comment, let me know where you're calling in from. That would be really, really useful, because I just want to check that the comments are working, because last night we had a little bit of tech issue, and obviously it's a little bit annoying when you're just kind of talking to yourself. Oh dear. Yay! Austin's here. Awesome. I can see your comments now. I'm not entirely speaking to myself, which is absolutely awesome. Angelo's here. Awesome. Okay, so today I thought I would cover a subject which is really, really, really important. And over the decade that I've been doing this work cosmically and connecting myself and doing all the healing work, it's one of those areas that people just don't seem to get right. And it's really, really simple. And it has a massive, massive, massive effect in your world when it's not done right. So I want to cover that with you. This is the subject of surrender. So I don't know if you saw my post on it on my timeline, but basically it's this notion that in order to receive everything that is meant for you, right, from the universe, you have to make space in your life. It's kind of like they're showing this image of an already packed house, and the universe wants to come in and bring you a really shiny, beautiful, leather, sparkly couch. I don't know if that's your thing, but hey ho. And you haven't got any space for it in your living room, and you're just kind of going, oh, just kind of put it anywhere. And the universe is like, well, we haven't got any space to put it in. Like, where the fuck are we meant to fit this case? Hey, Carla. And so your job is really to make this space in your life in all the areas. And one of the ways we do that is in the process of surrendering to the universe. So I'm going to talk about this today. So just so you know me, my name's Lou. I'm a cosmic being. And so this is my first human life. I've been sent here to activate and awaken about 7 million starseeds in this lifetime. So no pressure, right? No pressure at all. Oh, Lou's home. So you might see a little person in the background in a moment. We'll see. So my job and my mission, well, the first stage of my mission is to activate and actually allow 7 million starseeds to step into their power and realize and connect to their own cosmic teams. And so that's what I'm here to do. And I want to talk to you about surrender. So this is confused with this notion of giving up. And the reason why people think, oh, surrender is just about waving your flag and giving up is because it feels the same in a way sometimes. And often you will get the same outcome as if you do just give up. Usually the thing that you want to manifest into your reality happens after the point that you've completely given up, i.e. surrender. Oh wow, my cousin's here. Hey Daz, you okay? Hey Tanya, how you doing? So does that make sense? Usually what happens is when you say, oh my God, I am just giving up here. I am throwing in the towel. I am not doing this anymore. I'm giving up. I'm giving up this relationship. I'm giving up this business. I've had enough of it. I'm not doing it anymore. It's really annoying me. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to throw in the towel. And usually in that moment, the energy of going through that process of giving up is enough to release the resistance of you grasping onto that thing so tightly because you so desperately need it, that it makes space around the energetic capability to receive that thing that you actually really want. Let me know if that makes sense to you. And I'm going to explain an analogy to kind of really put this into place. Hey, Tasha. Thanks, Jocelyn. So I want you to just have a moment here to think about this. So I want to just you to think about the scenario where you're on a date with the most perfect individual and being that you've ever met. So I don't know if you're in a relationship at the moment, but if you are, amazing. If you're not, you know, you're looking for love, you go on a first date with someone who's absolutely perfect in every way. They're beautiful, they're awoke, they're conscious, they do the work, you know, they do all the things, they tick all the boxes, and you're just so in awe of this amazing human being in front of you, and you're just having the most amazing time, you know, loving life, having lots of laughs. And then suddenly, when they're about to leave, when they're about to go through the front door, you grab them and you grab their leg and you say, no, 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 you are not going anywhere. And you hold on so tightly, you're crying, you're pleading, you're begging, you keep going on about the same thing to them. Oh, you're so amazing, you're so wonderful, I really need you, I'm desperate for you, I need you in my life right now. That energy comes from a place that is desperate and is lack, and shows that you are not enough and that you've got work to do. And that is the energy that a lot of people give to the universe when they are trying to manifest something that in their eyes they desperately need. Let me know if that makes sense to you, if that resonates. And how would you feel, you know, if you were on that first date and someone did that to you, like held onto your leg and literally said, please don't go, I need you, I'm desperate for you, oh my God, I can't live without you. Like, how the hell would you feel? Like, would you be like, oh my God, this is really cringy, I am going to get the absolute fuck out of here? Or would you go, oh my God, this feels so expansive, I'm going to stay and I'm going to wrap myself up in this person? Yeah. So Angelo says, yeah, makes complete sense once again. It's human ego that doesn't allow many to let go and surrender completely. Yeah. So what people think is surrender is them giving up. They're saying that because they usually get the same outcome. Hey Sue, how you doing? Because they usually get the same outcome at the point of when they actually do physically give up, the energy of the release is the absolute same. And I want you to think about a time when this happened for you, when you were just like, oh, you know what, I'm so incredibly lost, I'm so incredibly stuck, I don't have a clue what to do next, I really don't know, I'm just going to give this up, this isn't for me, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to just throw in the towel. Throw in the towel. I used to do that quite literally as well. I used to have a little white tea towel. And every time when I was getting used to practicing surrender, sorry, they're asking me to share now, I would literally pick up this white towel. And because I was getting into the energy of feeling what it felt like through my physical body of surrendering, yeah, because it's a physical feeling, an energetic feeling, an emotional feeling, yeah, because I needed like a prop, you know, as an actor needs a prop, I'd just throw in the towel and I'd be going, okay, I'm going to give up, yeah, or I'm going to surrender. Oh, remove that, team, thank you. Team, can you just put up a force field around us, please, a shield around this call so that all beings and me are completely protected. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. So does that make sense? So they've written a few stages that they want me to talk you through. They want me to be really specific tonight on the actual advice I give you, because this is a really, really key area. And a lot of people, right, get this wrong and miss this step out, and I'm going to explain exactly what they do, because it feels as weird as fuck to do nothing and to wait, because you're programmed in a completely different way. So the first stage is, the first thing that people always ask me, right, is, so how do you surrender? How do you do it? Humans are brilliant. When you're going through processes, they always ask you how to do something, how to do it, what do I do type of thing. When actually surrender is more about, there's no real set process. There's not like, right, you need to go away and you need to just spend 2.5 hours on yourself. And then that should be enough for the universe to say, oh, you surrender. You know, how easy would that be if I could say to you that? But it's really not about like the how, it's not about the process. It's about really getting used to what feels good for your own body. This is why when I'm teaching, when I'm having sessions with clients, when I'm providing courses, when I'm speaking online, I talk about the human body as your own template. Body consciousness is absolutely everything. And before I go into the how to do it and to give you some guidance there, I really want to talk about the body. My team are like, you've got to tell them why. Okay, so how much do we need to tell them? Okay, cool. So we're just getting clearance on how much I need to tell you. So we use the physical body in order to be our filter for everything that is meant for us, because the main reason why is because it cannot get infiltrated by the beings, the self-serving beings that live amongst us and around us, and only seek to attach to our energy or mesh with our emotions. Now, if your awareness hasn't expanded to that right now, I want you to just hold that really very lightly and don't take it on. Just hold it lightly and just accept it, you know, for a minute. And so they cannot attach to your physical human body unless you give them permission, or you've got an access point, you know. So an access point would be where you're leaking energy, you've got an attachment, maybe you've got a wound, maybe you've got an implant from a previous life, maybe you're just leaking your emotions to somebody because you're kind of like attached to them through a cord. Maybe you're leaking your energy to someone because you're giving someone your all. You know, this people pleasing thing. There's so many human things we do where we give away our power. And so this leaks our energy. This shows that we're vulnerable. This shows that we're open to attack. Yeah. And so when we leave ourselves open to attack or open for manipulation by humans and also energy vampires or entities, they will literally take advantage of that. Obviously, you know, we have to think of these beings as just needing to survive. There's no judgment on them more than that. So I want you to just hold that lightly for now, okay? And that is the importance why we use the physical body. And that's really, really, really important to integrate, because as we move through this process of becoming more cosmically aware and having these cosmic upgrades and downloads and expansions and all the things, our minds are going to become obsolete. It's kind of like we haven't got enough capacity within the human mind because of all its flaws and old-fashioned programming to actually hold this capacity for this expansion. If we hold on to a person or something, is that like giving something permission? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Let me know what you mean by that. So it's really important anyway that you understand that your physical body is really, really, really important. Okay, it's really, really important to protect energetically, to look after physically, to look after emotionally. Very, very, very important. It is literally your access point to everything. It's kind of like your engine on your car. You know, when the warning lights go off on an engine on a car, we'll go to the garage and we'll get it fixed. We'll have a look what the engine light says. You know, the codes that they give for the engine lights now from the cars are so fucking smart that you just put in a little stick, and then literally it tells you what's wrong with the car, right? It's a similar thing to your human body. Every single symptom, physical feeling, emotion is like a warning signal sign in your human body. Okay, so it's very, very important that we learn to look after and protect our human body and respect it in that way. Okay, does that make sense? Everyone's still with me? Okay, well, the next thing is talking about the how. So I get this quite a lot, you know, how do we rest? And it's not really about the process. Hey, Lindsay, it's not really the process of resting. But if you are the kind of person that's always busy, always tired, always working hard, always hustling, never gives you any space to look after yourself, to care for yourself, then you are not giving yourself any room for expansion, right? There's a reason why we talk a lot about self-love and self-care, but on a spiritual level, it's even more important, you know, and rest is really, really important. Our bodies need that rest, not only to recuperate and expand, but also to create that space in your kind of energetic field to allow the universe to come to you and bring you everything that you desire. And you've got to make that space. If you're not making that space, you're creating resistance, and the universe will be like, well, you know what, you like being busy, so we're going to give you more stuff to be busy about because you clearly like it because you're doing it all the time. See, you know, the universe doesn't understand what's good and bad, and it doesn't care. It doesn't hold judgment. Humans do. It only recognizes it on a frequency of vibration, you know. So if your frequency is sending out, I love to be busy. Yeah, this is so exciting. The universe will just say, okay, your wish is my command, you know, and it will bring you so many things to be busy for, basically. So there you go. So you need to rest, and the how isn't important. What is important is that you start where you are. Yeah. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't know how to rest at all, yeah, doesn't know how to look after yourself, doesn't know how to make this space in your life for you, then you have to start where you're at. You have to start with just 5 minutes a day, set inside that time a day just to be, not to do anything else, just to lie on your bed and do nothing. And I mean nothing, you know, stare at the ceiling, watch the sunrise, do absolutely nothing. And I know that will be quite scary for a lot of you because it was for me. I was always so busy. I was always running around. I'd be working like all God's hours that he sent. And, you know, there was no respite and there was no room for expansion. I wasn't happy. I was tired all the time. I just thought and knew that hustling and being busy was the only way. So the most important thing, right, this is number 3. So we talked about the how. The how is just starting where you're at, 5 minutes a day. Yeah. Yeah, and like Sue said, it's on my mind that's never at rest. Exactly. You know, you need to get to the stage where we are just resting our mind, which means detaching from everything that's keeping your mind whirring, which is where the healing work comes from, which is where the energetic work comes from. Yeah. So the most important thing when you are doing this, when you are resting, when you are surrendering to the universe, when you are making space in your life for the universe to come through and bring those resources to you, all of the things that you want, all of the things that you desire, everything. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about wealth, abundance on all scales. Yeah. Everything that you desire. You are going to have feelings come up, emotions come up that you are not used to because you haven't rested. You haven't practiced this art of resting. And it's kind of like teaching a child how to walk. You know, you've never been taught probably how to rest or how to chill. And even worse than that, you've probably been programmed from a very, very early age to always be super, super, super busy. Like, think about it for a minute, right? Ever since you're born, right, apart from when you're like a baby, you are kind of encouraged to go into this system for humans, you know, and I'm not going to pass judgment on whether I agree with this system or not. That's up for you. I am not passing judgment on anything, but think about it. You go to school, right, and you do like full-time there, and then you leave school and you go to college, and then you go to uni or whatever, and you get a job. And so you're working or you're studying for like 5 days a week, and you're only having 2 days off. And most people, you know, if you have a successful job, are working late at night, early evenings. A lot of people nowadays are working weekends. You know, if you're a single mom like I am, you're really, really busy with your children. So we are programmed and conditioned by society, and ever since we were little, to be super, super busy. And worse than that, if we can make it worse than that, we are actually congratulated and put on a pedestal for having the most amazing work ethic. You know, think about it. Think about the times when you have been congratulated for working your absolute arse off. You know, maybe you've worked on a project and you've got like a big payment for it, and that's been your like juicy reward, and you just like tie the two up. You think, you know, I have to work hard for money. I have to work hard for all my desires. I have to work hard because I am going to get validation from the pack. I am going to get acceptance. And you know what? Validation and acceptance from the pack, from the tribe, i.e. other humans, which is what we crave as humans on a very tribal level, right, is literally life or death scenario. You know, in tribal times, if you did not fit in and do your bit in the tribe, you know, whatever that was, you would be ostracized, you wouldn't be fed. Ultimately, it would mean death. You know, it's very serious. And the thing is, trauma is generational. Yeah, it's etched onto our DNA. It's passed down through DNA, through generations. And so you think, oh, well, that doesn't really affect me because, you know, that wasn't in my DNA. It would have been somewhere down the line. Unless you're one of those people that was like completely born into royalty and has never had to work your whole life, which is probably not the case for very many of us. So it's really, really, really important here is that you appreciate how fucking weird this is going to feel to you doing absolutely fuck all. Okay, that's really, really weird that you integrate that into just your awareness, because just a realization and awareness that it's going to feel weird is going to help you just navigate through this a lot easier. Okay, just bear that in mind. So I'm going to put a pin in that. So you're going to get different emotions coming up. Okay, so when this happens, when you're resting, when you're making space for yourself, when you're allowing the universe to come through and bring things to you, which is his job, rather than you going out and hustling for it, okay, which is what you've always been told. You're going to get emotions coming up. You're going to get probably resentment for self coming up. You're also going to get grief coming up. You might start to talk very negatively about yourself. So you might suddenly like start putting yourself down. You know, you'll be saying that, oh, I'm lazy. I didn't do anything today, you know, which is all complete bullshit. Okay. It is just that you're making space and you're resting to allow the universe to bring you something on a level that you've never received before. And I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about all the things. So yeah, how does that hit? I'm going to check some of your comments in a minute. The other thing as well, guys, sorry, they've made me make points today, is you're going to trigger other people with this. Yeah, you're going to trigger other people who see you and go, oh my God, you don't work, or you had the whole day off, or you don't work at the weekends, and they're going to be shocked and triggered, and they're going to be like, oh my God, that's terrible. You know, how are you, oh, the truth. How are you going to pay for the wages, pay for your bills? You know, how are you going to do that? Yeah, you're going to trigger other people with this, but that is their fault, not yours. And so the final stage of this process really, actually no, there's 2 more stages they want me to cover, is emotional awareness. You'll need to be able to navigate any emotions that come up. Yeah, you'll need to notice that those emotions are coming up, why they're coming up, and really have that an awareness for these new things that you're feeling. It's kind of like, you know, learning how to walk again. You are spiritually learning how to look after yourself, how to walk. And so you're going to get bumps and bruises along the way. Yeah, you're going to fall over and you're going to have to, like, you know, mess it up a few times, and you might bump your head, so to speak, as a little child, and you might graze your knee, and, you know, but we never look at little children when they're walking and, like, chastise them and say, oh my God, you're such a bad child, you know, you can't walk, you need to, we never do that. We just always lovingly pick them up and we say, come on, and usually with a bribe. You know, I remember my daughter bribing her with a pen. That's how she walked, crazy being. But, you know, we have to lovingly pick ourselves up when we fail, and we have to say, right, that's it. Dust ourselves off. We start again, because we understand that we are just learning to walk. And so the human practical steps, they want me to give you some ideas on this. So this is about seeing what comes up when you're practicing this. You know, start with just 5 minutes a day of just resting, just clearing your mind. I'm not saying meditating. I'm not saying doing anything. Just set a space where you go, I'm not going to do anything for 5 minutes. I'm just going to stare at the wall and see what comes up. If that's easy for you, then brilliant. You know, extend it. The point here is that you have to keep extending your containers in order for growth and expansion, right? You have to do things that you've never normally done. It's never about receiving more or doing more. It's about creating situations that feel really icky, that you just become the norm. And one of those is creating that container where you're just literally stretching out your capacity to receive. And this is one of those things. And obviously just keep pushing out that time that you spend on yourself. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And number 6, the point that they wanted to talk about was healing energy and transmuting the energy. So it's really, really important when an emotion comes up to be a detective in your own life, right? Pick out that emotion, see where it's come from, trace it back to the root, which will either be something that popped up in this life, usually as a child, but could be past lives, previous lives, many lives. There are lots of different layers to this, but I'm going to keep it on a simple kind of 3D-ish level. And you need to trace that trigger back to when it first created this illusion almost in your mind that resting was really lazy. Okay, and I'm sure it was something like, oh, you haven't done anything all day. You've just been watching cartoons. Oh my God, you're such a lazy bum, you know. And if it's said over a few times, your childlike mind, remember that child's minds are very, very, very spongy, yeah? And they absorb everything that you tell them, and they accept it as fact as well, because up to a certain age, they accept that you are like God to them, yeah? And you know absolutely everything. So everything that comes out of your mouth is like a gospel, and they accept it, including any opinions that you give them about themselves. Okay, that's really important. And so you've inherited, if you like, this belief that chilling, resting, making space, doing things you love, however you like to see it, is lazy or selfish or whatnot. So it's really interesting when you do this work of just doing like sweet FA to see what comes up. Yeah. And also on top of that, on top of the healing, you need to, your physical body kind of keeps a score of all these type of wounds and energetic infrequencies. So you need to be masterful on where in your physical body has this energy, this dense energy congregated, which is why a lot of humans suffer with certain physical symptoms. So a lot of people, for example, will have migraines. A lot of people will have heart problems. A lot of people will suffer with what they call heartache or they'll feel heartbroken because of this energy and this dense energy that has built up over time in their physical body. And when you know how to transmute those trauma wounds, that dense energy in your body, and release it, literally nothing can come close to rocking you from your path. And it really is so beautiful. So you also need to do some human steps as well. It's all very well finding the trauma, the root cause, usually in regression, for example. It's usually seeking to heal that. It's usually to remove the energetic attachment as well of that. And then it's also doing the human steps, which is something I'm really keen on talking about, because a lot of people forget to mention. They're just like, da-da, you're healed. Here are my hands. Wow, healing. Here's a process. Just use this and then you're free. It'd be beautiful if it was just that you needed to do, right? And I'm telling you this because I just want to be brutally honest on how it actually physically works in the real world rather than what you see on Facebook, yeah? And so you have to do the human steps, and that means taking the practice in practicing the surrendering every day. So like I said, you start with 10 minutes a day, yeah? And then you expand. And the purpose for this is that you can get to a stage where you're resting for a whole day. And I know that's going to freak a few of you out. You'll be like, how the fuck would I fit that in? But this is how you make space for all the juicy stuff that you say that you really desire. And that is what doing the work is truly about. And that is why, mainly, there's so many people walking around with unresolved trauma. There's so many people walking around with mental health issues. There's so many people with anxiety. I used to have anxiety, severe anxiety, so I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't drive. I couldn't speak to people. Couldn't open the door. I didn't have any relationships with any humans whatsoever. I couldn't trust people. I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I had depression, like severe manic depression, where all I could think about was disappearing from the world, yeah? And it was because my body just needed these processes and these, this connection and this energetic release, yeah? So I want to know, does that resonate with you? Let me know. Does that make sense? Jesselyn says, thank you for expressing this in a beautiful way. I needed this. Whoever guides you knows that I needed to hear to heal. Yeah, and you know what? The other thing as well, right? I want you to know that you are so fucking worthy of this. Yeah? So fucking incredibly worthy. And the thing for me, right? I was so scared. I knew what it felt like to have anxiety, yeah? I knew what it felt like to have depression. I knew what it felt like to want to disappear from the world. I knew all those feelings. They were familiar. They were really fucking awful, and every day I would wake up and I would pray to be taken that day, every single day. Yeah, every single day, even when I had small children. And it breaks my heart now because I just can't imagine leaving them. I'm going to get emotional with that. 1 second. But listen, in the back of my mind, I knew that there was another way. And it's important as well that you know that waiting in the new is a way. And within the new, you feel just so much more at peace, yeah? You can wake up and you're just like, oh my God, I feel like a child again. Just that beautiful childlike energy where you're just like, Oh my God, I'm so excited. Like, you don't really have like anything majorly to kind of say to people. You're not like, oh my God, I got a holiday booked, or I'm going to buy a new car, or I'm getting a new house. You're just like, you know what? I'm so fucking excited. And the thing that stopped me actually from doing the work, they want me to explain this, is because I knew what that negative feeling felt like. I was so scared that it wouldn't work. And I was so scared that it would make it worse. And I was so scared to trust somebody to do that work for me. And I was so worried that I would be in a worse off position. And I just didn't have a clue what it meant. You know, I just didn't have a clue what to do and where to go. And, you know, and it's been a process for me of trying so many things. You know, I'm not saying that there is one way that fits all, because there isn't. I'm never ever going to say to you, right, my way is the best way. You need to follow me, because you need to follow your own journey and what resonates for you as a human being, right? But for me personally, to move from where I was to where I was now is like light and day. And for me, I tried things like Reiki. I did hypnotherapy. I actually qualified in hypnotherapy under Marissa Peer. You know, I became certified in Reiki, in hypnotherapy. I did lots of courses on healing. I did lots of courses on angel communication and all the things. But it was only when I said, you know what, I'm not allowing other people to do this work for me anymore. I'm going to start just tapping into myself and seeing what happens and seeing what I can achieve with my own skills and my own tools and connecting to my own team. It was only when I trusted myself enough to do that that I started to be able to transmute things instantly, and also transmute things instantly for other people as well. So that is why I'm so passionate about giving people the tools and the knowledge and the guidance to connect to themselves. Team, remove that. Thank you. To connect to themselves and then be able to do this work themselves, because it is so incredibly powerful. And you might say, well, I'm not anxious, I'm not depressed. But, you know, how incredibly happy are you with your life? Do you give yourself space and time off without feeling guilty? You know, do you have a really connected, beautiful relationship with people? Do you trust people? Do you trust your decisions implicitly? Do you have everything in your reality that you so desire, or are you absolutely frustrated as fuck at what you see? Like, you have to get really honest with yourself here. And, you know, it's a process, yeah? And also, you know, I believed at one point that I could just have like one session of hypnotherapy, one session of child inner healing session, and then I would be done. But now I realize this is a daily thing. It's a daily thing, and it's a lifelong process, and there is no shame at all in still not being perfect, because we are all still, well, I would say I'm an alien just having a human experience here, but you might think something different, but that's me. So I'm just going to have a drink. Does anyone have any particular questions? I know a few people have mentioned some things, so let me know. Yeah, so Jessalyn, just feels like your sister's not quite ready. I think with anybody, sometimes when you've been through trauma and you've been through pain, you'll go through this stage of trying to help everybody come through, but actually that just makes it worse. Yeah, it's kind of like trying to help an addict. You can't necessarily help them. Remove that, please. Sorry, trying to stop me talking. Literally, you can't help somebody that's not there to help themselves, and that means meeting you in the middle. So it's really important that you just give her space and just remind her that you're there for her when she's ready to speak, and give her that space. Because it's like that analogy that I said at the beginning, you know, if you're creating attention around absolutely anything that you desire, anything, then you are literally just pushing it further and further away. So that is like so important. Yeah, I did scroll to your long comment. I think sometimes it's just a little bit behind. So hopefully that made sense. Let me know if you've got any particular questions. I might have missed a few because it's quite hard to look at questions whilst I'm channeling. I get like a million different downloads all at the same time usually. And then also obviously relaying it in words that you will resonate with and with the right kind of energy. So it's quite hard to do everything all at once, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. So if there are any questions that you want to ask, then drop them in the comments and I'll pick them up in a bit. Also, if there are any questions around, you know, where do I go from here? They're saying you haven't told them where do you go from here. Thank you, T. The thing is, guys, you have to realize that as a human, my mind capacity to remember is absolutely fucking ridiculous, yeah? And I'm so glad that I've got access to this infinite power that reminds me what I need to do, because otherwise I would be screwed. So there's just a bit of light-hearted humour there. Yeah, basically, if you are at the stage where you're just like, oh my God, I resonate with what you say, I resonate with your energy, I really like the way you put stuff, I really know that I really need to do this, right? Then, and you're really ready to do that as well, you know, you're ready to commit and do the work, you're ready to actually share your energy and share an energy exchange. So I'm talking about making an actual money investment, you know, because that is quite a big, scary decision for a lot of people. Handing over money to somebody else is a very, very, very scary thought. I'll share my story in a moment. But if you are ready and you're like, right, I just can't go forward like this, then we absolutely have to talk. And the way that my team work with me is that I'll usually invite you to a call and we'll say, you know, tell me where you are, tell me where you want to be, and then we will tune in and we will see what blockages you have and what work we think you'll need to do. And we will give you those steps, you know, and they're all very, very bespoke to you. They are not like cookie cutter type approach strategies. They are like, this is what you need to get from there to there, from point A to point B, where you're living your life on your divine timeline. We will tune in, we will give you those steps, you know, we'll be very open and honest what you need to do. And then I would tune in again and I'll say to my team, okay, what is the financial investment? And they will give me a number. And that number, what they say to you in money, might trigger you, because if you've never done this amount of healing work before and you've never worked with someone and you've never trusted someone, you might get that instant reaction. And I want to just talk about that because it's really important. When we are stepping into a new environment, when we are looking to make change, our minds are very limited, right? And it's this thing called homeostasis. So your mind, in its wisdom, wants to keep everything familiar, everything the same. It doesn't care whether you've got comfort blanket or whether you're in pain, as long as everything stays the same. And if everything stays the same, even if you're in pain, it's happy, because it's in its wisdom, you will stay alive, yeah? And that's all the job of the mind to do. It's very, very outdated. It's kind of like, it's almost obsolete, the mind, and it needs a lot of work in order to be at the stage where we need it. So that's the problem with the mind, yeah? And so when you're presented with an opportunity to change, your mind will create these most amazing reasons why you shouldn't do it. And they seem very, very real, you know. They'll say things like, you know, you haven't got time for this, or I don't trust it, or is it going to work for me, or I haven't got time, you know, all these kind of reasons why it's a good reason not to do it. And you've got to be very, very mindful of that when that happens, when you are presented with anything in your life and your mind creates this narrative that says no. You've got to be very, very mindful of that, because that pattern will keep you stuck. I remember the first ever healing session I did. It was like right at the very, very beginning. I didn't have a clue about healing, really. It was like £400, which is probably about $500. And I was freaking the fuck out. You know, it was almost the same as my the rent on my flat house that I was renting. I was just thinking, oh shit, I cannot afford this, but I know I really need it. I don't know if I can trust it, but I'm going to have to just do it anyway. And so what I did, I kind of tuned in because I was fairly spiritual then, and I just said, what do I do? And I just had this idea that I was going to use my money from my rent to pay for this session that I really needed. Now, I'm not suggesting you do this, by the way. Don't always follow my example. Do what resonates with you. But that is what I did in order to give me that step that I needed. And so, you know, there are ways that the universe can help you, but sometimes you need to be really open for that change and be mindful that when you do step into change, the mind is going to try and drag you back down in and say, no, you're not doing this. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? So you know what? If you are already on this path of healing and you are already working with people to help you, notice your triggers and notice the root causes and all the things. And I salute you because, you know, the mind does try and keep you trapped. So, yeah, I mean, my story is very, very vast. I was going to do a live on my story at some point, but I just think, oh my God, you would have to like maybe move in with me for a week. We'd have to get really fucking cozy. And I think it would just be too much. So I might just every now and again, they kind of give me wriggle room to just put in stories here and there so you can relate to me as a being. So, Tanya, thank you for sharing your story so openly. I think most starseeds. Yeah, and you know what? The reason why they have been through the hardest things is because the universe or God or whoever you relate to has to train its soldiers. It has to train its bravest soldiers to be able to go through what we are preparing to go through. And remember, guys, you can't lead other people to the light if you've not been through it yourself and healed from it yourself. Yeah, because people won't relate to you. They'll be like, oh, you know what do you know? You know, you didn't go through this process. You don't know how I feel. And sometimes it's really hard for me to remember what that feels like to be in so much pain. And I know a lot of really successful people as well who are in a lot of pain. A lot of people who are hiding, you know, on social media. It'll be like, oh my God, I've got such an amazing life. Look at my selfies, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. But I've had so many messages this week of people who are successful, yet they are hiding like real dark, deep pain that just needs work. And there is no shame on working on any of this, you know, absolutely no shame at all. Yeah, hardships is training. That's right. It absolutely is. You know, my team always say, you know, the bravest and courageous of soldiers get put through the toughest of assault courses. And it's so true. We are preparing ourselves to allow others into our stories and passing on the baton to them to help them do this. So it's very, very, very important. So I think I've given you a lot to deal with there, a lot to kind of dissect. I would advise, as always, that you kind of go through and pick out the points that resonate with you. What I used to do when I was going through this process and I was looking at other people's content. Hey, Sarah! We're almost going. I would take a notebook out and I would write down the points that resonated with me. And then I would write down to-do points as well. You know, write down the points that resonate with you of things that you want to do in your lives and your realities. And then I would do them. Like, don't get stuck in the consuming content trap where you're just consuming content and then not doing anything. Yeah, even if you've got to watch the video, pause it, and then go do something. It's really, really important you do that. I'm going to be downloading all of these links to YouTube. And within there, you'll see lots of different places that you can catch me on. You know, how to contact me if you want to work together. How to contact me if you want to look at what we do. You know, all the things. It's all going to be on the post. So hopefully that helped today. I will go back and I will revisit the comments and I will respond to you as and when we can. So, mwah, Sending you love, light, and miracles. Take care. Bye.